All right, let's see if you can see this. Let me make this bigger so I can just see myself. Wow. Oh, wow. I never actually recorded like this. I never recorded where you can actually see full screen. That's pretty cool. Gives me a different perspective of how I might look from other people's view. All right, this talk today is about, what is this now? The third video that I said I wasn't going to do. That I was going to do one video talking about Indiana and that was it. Well, you know what? I keep trying to get away, man, but they just keep pulling me back in. What quote is that? What saying is that? I can't get away. They just keep pulling me back in. All right. This time, this talk is going to be about, or this video is going to be about. I'm going to try my best to keep this under 15 minutes. Let's just say that. It's about 1 minute and 9 seconds in. I'm going to try my best to keep this under 15 minutes because that number's been popping up. No, that time's been popping up. But also, most importantly, I want to keep it within a reasonable listening time range. Okay. I just want to talk about this trade because this trade intrigues me. I guess when there's something that it gets my attention, intrigues me, as they say, intriguing, very intriguing. I just want to talk about it in some way. There was a trade that went down between the Islanders and Devils. I think it was yesterday. One of the videos, in fact, the last video I did, I was talking about the Rangers and Panarin, who I think, a team who should be calling. I was giving teams and who should be calling the Rangers about Panarin, and I had mentioned the Islanders. I said there's a whole bunch of teams. Really, there is a whole bunch of teams that can go for Panarin, can trade for him. But I narrowed it down. I said let's talk about these teams. It was just these to me were real life scenarios that could have happened. Hurricanes are up there, the Mammoth, Utah Mammoth, and I said the Islanders. I said don't be surprised if you see a trade go down between the Islanders and the Rangers. It just feels like that veil has been lifted. I'm telling you, there's a guy in the NHL named, his last name is Vail, Andrew Vail or something like that. First game with his new team, he was with Boston, I think, and then he played with the Ducks. First game with the Ducks, he scores against the Rangers. The trend continues. I'll release a video when I talk about the phenomenon in sports, the trends that I notice, maybe one at a time. But we'll talk about it one time. All right. Point is, I want to talk about this Islanders and Devils trade. Yesterday, I was, piggybacking off the Rangers and Devils trade that I was proposing. The Rangers and the Islanders actually wind up making a trade. A couple days later, Carson Soucy was traded from the Rangers to the Islanders, who they're actually playing tonight in a few minutes. That's another reason why I want to keep it under a certain amount of time, because I want this video to be out before the game really gets underway, because it just make me feel better if that's the case. Because I think it's around 6:50 p.m. Anyway, Islanders and the Rangers made a trade, and Carson Soucy was traded from the Rangers to the Islanders. So a couple days prior to that, I'm saying Islanders and Rangers should make a trade, and Panarin might go that way. Hey, listen, they just did a trade a couple of days later. People are like, they're shocked about it, which understandably so. But it just, there are factors. Is it a rivalry anymore? I mean, it's a little slightly different. There's still a rivalry, but they don't see each other. They see each other basically a couple times more than they would see any other team in the league, it feels like now. All right. So yesterday, then the Islanders made another trade with a division rival, and they picked up the Devils. They picked up a player from the Devils. Excuse me. I'm not going to do this twice. This is the first take. I'm only doing it one time. I don't care with the stumbles and the mess ups. This is just to get the information out. For all those who are still watching, if they are, thank you for sticking in there. Let this be a lesson in persistence and determination, and to not worry about what other people think about you and what it matters. I mean, yeah, you can refine and be perfect, but I'm trying not to do that anymore, as much as I used to, at least. That's one thing. That's another lesson for people. Don't try to be so perfect. Yes, I mean, there's a fine line, compromise, and spruce up a little bit, but do things your way, really. That's the third lesson. All right. Forgive me, guys. I've been in the house a little bit too much today. Let's just say that. I might have went to Mars or not. All right. Andre Palat who originally signed with the Devils a few years ago, a few years ago, from who's a 10-year veteran with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Andre Palat was. He was a seventh round pick by the Lightning, and he turned out to be a very good player for the Lightning, and he won back-to-back Stanley Cups with the Lightning. He's 34 years now, 34 years old, or 34 years young, and he has just been traded to the Islanders. He signed a 5-year deal, 5-year, $30 million contract with the Devils a few years ago from the Lightning, who I just mentioned. Maybe I need some water. I'm having a hard time. I feel like I sound horrible. I'm hanging in there. All right. Excuse me. Let me restart this. Andre Palat, yes, a 10-year veteran, back-to-back Stanley Cup champion, 7th round pick by the Lightning. Wound up playing and averaging around 17 minutes a game for the Lightning, and at one point was averaging closer to 18 minutes a game. In fact, I think it's closer to 18 minutes a game. Early on in that first 5 years of his Tampa career, he played a little bit more minutes, I think. The last, or maybe more towards like years 6 and 7, if he played more. The final 3, I think he played a little bit less minutes, especially in the playoff time. But point is, minutes aside, he averaged 18 minutes a game as a 7th round draft pick and helped them win 2 Stanley Cups and produced 94 playoff points in about 138, 136 games. This guy was a great player for the Tampa Bay Lightning and a great playoff performer. And, I guess you can say he overachieved for his initial expectations. He piggybacked that great play with Tampa to sign a 5-year, $30 million contract with the Devils, who at that point, and still are now, but were trying to get at it at, they had a stretch where they weren't too good for a little bit, and they want to get out of that, and they want to start be taken more serious, and adding that, what most teams do, they add the veteran to the mix with Stanley Cup experience. That goes around. That's a big thing in the NHL, which rightfully so. So the Devils signed him to that contract. When he did sign there, my first reaction, and somebody did mention today in an article too, about how tiring it is, how the sentiment of keep bringing up his contract and how he might have got overpaid. Okay, so in honor of that, and I do agree. I'm not going to go too deep on that, too far down that road, but I will bring up how I felt when it first happened, because forget about what that guy thinks, but it was kind of an overpay. It was an overpay. I feel. $6 million a year for a guy who's probably maybe getting those high point totals, like he was averaging probably in the first few years there, 55, 60 points a year, give or take, and then maybe more towards 45 points a year. 50 points, and maybe a little bit less than that. Point is, he wasn't a very consistent scorer. Maybe he averaged about 40 points a year, give or take. I'd say maybe a little bit more, 45 points a year. $6 million and averaging about that amount of points, it's a lot of money. You got to at least get that on a consistent basis. I don't think he was that type of player, I think, at the time, that maybe to continue that going with the Devils. Maybe he was overachieving in a sense, playing with, and I said that already, but point is, what I mean is, because he got the benefit of playing with Braden, together with Braden Point, who's a very, very good player. Nikita Kucherov, who's one of the top 5 player in the NHL. Anthony Cirelli wound up actually morphing into an even better player over time, or reached another level. Yanni Gourde, who's back with the Lightning, he was a player that was a grinder, but he can also score. Who else? I'm missing something that would bother me, but point is, at that time I had it's Steven Stamkos, of course. I'm missing something. Oh, Alex Killorn as well. Point is, he was playing with some good players. That was a very good team when we look back on it, and he got a lot of minutes, and he did well with those minutes. So I'm talking a lot about this because this is what I do sometimes. Signed that big contract. Plus, my stomach is growling. Anybody hear that? I swear, I feel like I heard that through my ears, all the way up through my body. I think that's what's going on. I'm starving. Jeez. All right. So I'm low on blood sugar, and you literally saw it happening as we're in front of each other. 5 years, $30 million contract with the Devils. Okay, he gets traded yesterday from the Devils to the Islanders. Well, the Islanders also getting a 3rd-round pick and a 6th-round pick. What the Devils getting Maxim Siplikov. Maxim Siplikov. I spent so much time. I'm realizing I spent so much time talking. Maybe that's what Adrian, my brother, was talking about, the filibuster. Maybe that's what he was talking about, the filibuster. Maybe I'm spreading it a lot, but I can't help myself. I mean, at this moment, I feel like I really can't help myself. Maybe it's more controllable in other moments, but I feel like it's just what it was. Like today, it's just going to be this. Maybe other days it'll be something else. But today it's this. And I'm realizing I spent about almost 12 minutes. There's the ground. I'm starving. It's even horrible to say that. I'm not starving. There's food in that fridge. But I'm really hungry. I say not starving because how can I be starving when there's food in the fridge? It's like when I'm saying how can you go hungry? Someone's saying they're hungry and they got a loaf of bread underneath their arm. You're hungry, but you got a whole loaf of bread underneath your arms. That's kind of like, even metaphorically speaking too. This guy's hungry. You got a whole loaf of bread under his arms. Either he's really holding one, or metaphorically, he's in a good spot in his life. So what the hell's he got to complain about? This is deep here. All right. I'm not saying that person with the bread underneath their arm is me. But I do fit in some places in the story. And maybe that's one of them. Who knows? All right. Now we're really going deep. I like this trade because I think the Devils really got themselves a really good player here. Because last year in the KHL, he was from Russia. Last year in the KHL, he scored 31 goals. That was a career high. Prior to that year, he wasn't really much of a goal scorer. But he also like 23, 24 years old. So, a young kid at the time. I mean, still a young guy, but came over as a 26-year-old free agent, signed a 2-year deal with the Devils for about $5 million. I think it was around $5 million total. So it's about 2.25 or 2.5 a year, something around that. So, he got a decent deal, I guess, a decent deal. So kind of under the radar, I didn't really see that. I haven't really been so keen on hockey. Well, I've been keen on hockey, but last couple of years I'm in and I'm out. So this one slipped me. But seeing the highlight or seeing him play, I'm saying the Devils signed him. Excuse me, the Islanders signed him. That's why I have him in blue, so I can match where he originally was from. It doesn't matter if I said Devils or Islanders. I'm still describing him, and it still matters. The description doesn't change of him depending what team he's on. The Islanders signed him to that contract, and this guy, let me tell you, looks very. When I saw him, I thought he stood out to me. He has a different style of play than what you're going to see in today's NHL. He has like an old school approach, but don't sleep on him because he also could turn up the Jets. I saw some highlights where he's like broke away. So he's a strong skater. He's 6'3", probably about 220 pounds. I know he's 6'3", and I'm not sure of his weight. I didn't really catch that, but he's a big guy, clearly. He is a big guy. It's a strong guy, a strong skater, and he moves at like a Martin Straka, Michael Nylander, Jaromir Jagr type of pace. And that's high praise because that's the best line I've ever watched in New York Rangers history. That was my come-up of Rangers hockey, like really getting into it. That was my come-up. Martin Straka, Jaromir Jagr, Michael Nylander, still one of the best, if not the best line I've ever witnessed in Rangers history of my viewership. Okay? That line was top-notch. That was, I think, when Jonathan Cheechoo outscored Jagr by like 2 or 3 points. Jonathan Cheechoo, number 14, San Jose Sharks. Came out of nowhere with this. Anyway, and I remember looking at his stats. His numbers after that, the last 4 years, and we just kept going down, down, down. I think he went up like 37 points 4 seasons after scoring like 125. No knock on Cheechoo, but that was just some crazy stuff that happened there. Anyway, I got so far left, I forgot where it was. I forgot where I'm at. I forgot what I was talking about. Oh, I'm praising his game. I like it. I mean, I gave him really high praise there, but point is, I like his game, and I think he'll fit in really well with the Devils. I really do. First of all, the name, the Devils have been sprinkling in these type of names into their lineup over the last couple of seasons. So the name alone fits in. Plus the number, I don't think he's going to be wearing number 7 with Dougie Hamilton there. He was wearing number 7. I wore number 7. So, hey, how you doing there? That just happens to be. That's not another reason why I like him. But if you want to add it to the list, go ahead. But I just think that he just fits in there. His style of play is going to fit in with the Devils. And he has one more year left on his contract. No, this is the final year of his contract. I think this is he played last year and he went this year. I believe this is the final year. If not, I'm missing something. And actually, that's a huge miss. And so much so, I'm going to look it up. And I'm not going to stop this video because I can't. We're going to look this up together. This is what we're going to do in this game. You know, when we do videos here, we're not going to go perfectly on the norm. You're going to see things like breaking the fourth wall. All right, Maxime, let's see. Do this real quick. Maxime Sliplikov, come on. Look, now it's buffering. Maxime Sliplikov. You want to embarrass me, Wi-Fi, huh? But the thing is, I'm not even okay. His contract expires at the end of the 2026-2027 season. I thought he already signed. Okay. Oh, he did. He signed a 1-year, $1.95 million contract. And then he signed an extension. Thank you. This is good, actually, this happened. Last year, he signed for 1 year, 1.95. Then he scored 35 points in around 77 games, which is a good pace. I mean, he played 15 minutes a game with the Islanders. And I saw him when I'm watching some games and I'm watching highlights. He had minutes with Brock Nelson and Kyle Palmieri for some decent amount of time, from my knowledge and from what the quick search that I did. So he's playing with one of the top-notch players in the Islanders, and he was also relegated to some third and fourth line minutes, especially this season. And this is after they signed him to an extension after scoring those points last year, 2 years, $4.5 million. So he'll be making 2.25. So only $4.5 million this guy is going to be making in total. So 2.25 a year. Andre Palat is making $6 million. So Andre Palat in one season is making more than this guy's made, or he's going to make in 3 years in the NHL. I like this guy's game. I really do. I know this is one of those videos you hang in there. Who cares? Hang in there, please. Please hang in there. Now, really hang in there. If not, go in, go out. Maybe I'll try to find a way to put on a video where I can put markers when you can just fast over to the spot. Or maybe I'll just edit a video so I take out all this nonsense or all this wasted space. If attention is real estate, right? To me, real estate is everything. Even attention. This is another lesson. Even attention. And attention is abundant, it feels like, right? So, if time is money, then I would like to take less of your cost than the cost of your attention, and maybe make it more worthwhile of your time, so I can condense it and get more value for you guys. Okay? So I'll work on that. I'll be better at that. Maybe my brother was right with the filibusters, but I like to go here and there, and I always combine it with the fact that we don't have to do anything other than the way we want to do it when this is our channel. When this is, so I'm like, but then I also got to think of the viewer's perspective, right? But then maybe I'm like, oh, maybe they wouldn't mind seeing somebody just go up there and just be themselves. Maybe be off the rails sometimes, maybe be more composed sometimes, maybe be, himself, which is what you're seeing. Seeing is believing, and I'm right in front of you. All right. So the Devils get him. So to correct everything and to be more precise, yes, he has one more year left on his contract for 2.25. 2.25. He has 2.25 mil next season. All right, and then right here, so the Devils were able to the contract we talked about. You know, he Andre Palat got this big deal because of the playoff experience. Yes, the the production with Tampa, right? The the production with Tampa regular season and playoffs and the Stanley Cups. I covered all that like 3 times. I thought so. The Devils were relieving themselves of that. They also parted ways when you see a team get another team to take on their contract, to take on a deal, and literally pay for the whole deal. Even though I thought there was more years left on the contract, there's 1 more year left on the contract for Palat. But when a team takes on a player with with term still left on his deal, most times or sometimes you'll see that player um, also or that team that's receiving the contract, like the Islanders from the Devils, they'll also get a a draft pick in return, and usually a decent draft pick. So they got a 2026 third round pick. So they took on the contract, the player first, contract second, and they also were they got a third round pick in return. So it's like the Devils are incentive. Thank you for taking our this $6 million off our hands. Here's also a good draft pick you could have as well. And we don't need too much in return. I mean, we'll take something obviously of value. I think they got great value here, tremendous value here. The Devils did. So, and they also got a 2027 6th round pick. This is one of those that feels like a throwaway. No offense, because there are good players that are drafted at 6th round, but this is like a lower value pick because the amount of players that make it from the 6th round into into the NHL not too high. I don't believe. So that's and it's also that it's always that typical. Now you see late, right, like way into the future. I feel like the NBA started that. We'll give you a draft pick 4 years from now. Call us. We'll give it to you. Redeem it. So like you're seeing that, but this is what's happening. So they give him a 6th round pick next year. All right. Well, 1 more year left in the deal. Maybe if there was more money left in the deal, maybe this would have been a 2nd round pick. Maybe 1 more year left on Palat's deal, and it was 2 years at $6 million, not just 1 year left. He becomes a free agent, and so because Palat has 1 more year left in his deal besides this year, so the Islanders will pay that $6 million. So maybe if there was another year left at $6 million, maybe the Islanders would have been like, nah, give us a 2nd round pick too, not to devalue the player we're receiving, but we're taking on your $12 million of your debt, relieving you of debt owed to the player. So, I mean, because a 3rd round pick was just traded by the Islanders to the Rangers for Carson Soucy. So for a rental defenseman, because Soucy's a free agent after the year, for a rental defenseman, you get a 3rd round pick. Okay, which is fair. That's become the market, and that is the market. But for a 3rd round pick here, you're like, oh, just throw me a 3rd round pick. No, we're taking on $6 million. Maybe give, if anything, if you're not going to make this a second, make this a 5th. But maybe at that point it's too much. I don't know. I'm just saying I would have made that at least a 5th if this wasn't a second. That's why I feel like the Devils really got the best end of this deal because of the value in the deal. This is tremendous value. Big ups that they were able to I always used to be like get rid of the contract and dismiss the player. So now I feel like I don't have to do that as much. It just doesn't feel right. So to get rid of the contract, but really they don't owe the $6 million any longer. I mean, yes, they give him a 3rd round, but they can get that in trade. That's redeemable somewhere else. And if you let it go, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's not going to impact your roster too much at all. And the 6th round, even less. So great deal by the Devils. This kid's going to fit in really well there. But don't be surprised that Palat, I mean, they're saying that maybe he slowed down with the Devils because of all the playoff hockey that he played with the Lightning. But if that's the case, then the Islanders have every intention to make the playoffs. And if he's showing signs of slowing down, well, I'll say that fast. Showing signs of slowing down. If that's what he's doing, then and their intent is to make the playoffs and go deep into the playoffs, and he was slowing down because he went deep into the playoffs all these years with the Lightning before coming over to the Devils, and that's why they're saying maybe he slowed down. That doesn't bode too well for the Islanders, right? And you have him for 1 more year. But I will say I think this is a good spot for Palat. I wouldn't be surprised if he scores tonight. I really would. I mean, first team. I'm going to give you a little nugget. First play. It feels like first game with a new team, or first game with a new team. Something happens, they'll score. I mean, just saying. It's not always the case, but it feels like it's always worth a look. And if it's worth a look and you got a couple dollars, it's worth a bet. It's worth some action. Anyway, I think he'll fit in with the Islanders. I do. But like I said, if the warning signs were there or the showing signs of slowing down, I mean, I still can't pronounce that word, that phrase. Anyway, guys, thanks for hanging in there. I'm done with this trade. It's 7:14. Hey Siri, New York Rangers score.
The Rangers and the Islanders are tied 0-0.
Thanks for listening. This is the YouTube Sports Network.